Every year, millions of Americans watch the news as another hurricane spins across the ocean. The satellite images look like giant spirals of chaos, moving steadily toward our coastlines. Some storms make landfall, carving their names into history. Others curve back to sea, leaving only fear and relief behind. But behind the headlines, hurricanes are more than just destructive forces. They're among the most powerful natural engines on Earth, shaping coastlines, economies, and even human history. So today, we're counting down the top 10 hurricane facts everyone should know. These aren't just trivia points. They're insights that explain why hurricanes happen, why they're getting stronger, and how they impact our lives in ways most people never think about. Let's start at number 10. How hurricanes actually form. Hurricanes don't appear out of thin air. They form when the ocean and atmosphere line up perfectly. It starts with warm ocean water, at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That heat rises into the air, carrying moisture with it. As the moist air climbs, it cools, turns into clouds, and releases energy. That released heat powers the storm, driving more air upward and pulling more air in at the surface. Over time, the system organizes into thunderstorms rotating around a center. The rotation isn't random. It comes from the Coriolis effect, caused by Earth's spin. In the northern hemisphere, storms rotate counterclockwise. In the southern hemisphere, clockwise. If winds high in the atmosphere don't tear it apart, what meteorologists call low wind shear, the storm strengthens. First a depression, then a tropical storm, and finally a hurricane. Think of a hurricane as a giant heat engine. The warm ocean is the fuel tank. The atmosphere is the piston. As long as the engine stays over warm water, it grows. Once it moves over land or cooler water, it loses energy. This is why hurricanes weaken after landfall but often leave flooding behind. They've built up so much moisture and energy over the ocean that they can keep pouring it out even after the winds die down. Fact 9. The difference between a hurricane, typhoon, and cyclone. You might wonder why some storms are called hurricanes, others typhoons, and others cyclones. Are they different storms? Not really. They're all the same thing, a tropical cyclone. But the name changes depending on geography. In the Atlantic Ocean and Eastern Pacific, they're called hurricanes. In the Western Pacific, especially near Asia, they're called typhoons. In the Indian Ocean and near Australia, they're called cyclones. It's like regional dialects, soda, pop, or Coke. Same drink, different name. That said, storms in the Western Pacific are often the most powerful because that ocean provides an enormous pool of warm water. Typhoon. Tip in 1979 remains the largest tropical cyclone on record, stretching 1,380 miles across, nearly half the width of the United States. Meanwhile, the Atlantic Basin has produced some of the most infamous storms in U.S. history. Katrina, 2005, Sandy, 2012, Harvey, 2017, Ian, 2022. These weren't just weather events. They reshaped cities, policies, and how we think about preparedness. So, no matter what you call them, hurricane, typhoon, or cyclone, they're all part of the same global phenomenon. And their impact depends not on the name, but on where they strike and how ready people are when they do. Fact 8. Why category ratings don't tell the whole story. When people hear Category 1 or Category 5, it sounds simple. Bigger number, bigger storm. But hurricane categories only measure sustained wind speed on the Saffir-Simpson scale. That means categories say nothing about rainfall, flooding, or storm surge. And those often cause the most damage. Take Hurricane Harvey in 2017. By the time it stalled over Texas, Harvey's winds had weakened, but it dropped over 60 inches of rain in some areas. The flooding was catastrophic, making it the second costliest hurricane in U.S. history. Or Hurricane Sandy in 2012. Sandy wasn't even classified as a major hurricane when it hit the Northeast, but its massive size drove a powerful surge into New York and New Jersey, flooding subway tunnels and causing $70 billion in damage. Here's the sobering truth. According to the National Hurricane Center, about 90% of hurricane deaths come from water, not wind. Storm surge and flooding are the silent killers. So if you hear just a Category 1, don't relax. A low category storm can still be devastating, depending on rainfall and surge. Fact 7. The deadliest hurricanes in U.S. history. To understand today's risks, it helps to look back at history's worst storms. The deadliest U.S. hurricane remains the Galveston hurricane of 1900. With little warning, it brought winds over 140 miles per hour and a devastating surge. Between 8,000 and 12,000 people died, the deadliest natural disaster in American history. In modern times, Hurricane Katrina in 2005 killed nearly 1,800 people. The levee failures in New Orleans turned a major storm into a humanitarian crisis, flooding 80% of the city and displacing hundreds of thousands. And in 2017, Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico. The storm itself killed dozens, but in the months after, with power outages and shortages of clean water and medicine, nearly 3,000 lives were lost. These disasters show us hurricanes don't just test homes, they test our systems, emergency response, healthcare, and infrastructure. When those break down, the human toll multiplies. Remembering these storms isn't about fear, it's about lessons. Lessons that can save lives in the next one. Fact 6. The truth about the eye of the storm. The eye of a hurricane sounds calm and even beautiful, and it is, but only for a moment. The eye is the storm's calm center, often 10 to 30 miles wide. Inside, skies may clear, winds weaken, and it feels like the danger has passed. But the eye is surrounded by the eye wall, a ring of thunderstorms with the fiercest winds and heaviest rain. As the storm passes, the backside of the eye wall slams into land with winds blowing from the opposite direction. Many people have stepped outside in the eye, only to be caught in the returning chaos. In Hurricane Andrew, 1992, some South Florida residents thought it was safe when the eye passed. The second hit destroyed entire neighborhoods. Meteorologists also study the eye closely. A clear, tight eye usually means a strong storm. Sometimes hurricanes undergo eye wall replacement cycles, where a new eye forms, temporarily weakening the storm before it strengthens again. So yes, the eye is real, it's calm, but it's also one of the most dangerous illusions in nature. Fact 5. What storm surge really does to coastal cities. When hurricanes hit, people often focus on wind speed, but the real killer is usually storm surge, the wall of ocean water driven onto land by a storm's winds and low pressure. Storm surge can rise 10 to 20 feet or more. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina created surges over 25 feet, destroying coastal towns in Mississippi. In 2012, Hurricane Sandy pushed water into New York Harbor, flooding subways and cutting off power to millions. Surge is so dangerous because it moves quickly, sweeps inland, and carries debris. Unlike river flooding, it doesn't come gradually. It arrives as a sudden, violent rise of the sea. That's why evacuation orders matter. Emergency managers often repeat, hide from the wind, run from the water. If you're told to leave, it's usually because of storm surge risk. Fact 4. Why some hurricanes suddenly explode in strength. Not every hurricane builds slowly. Some transform overnight into monsters. This is called rapid intensification, when wind speeds increase by at least 35 miles per hour in 24 hours. In 2017, Hurricane Maria went from Category 1 to Category 5 in under 2 days before hitting Puerto Rico. In 2021, Hurricane Ida strengthened quickly in the Gulf, leaving Louisiana with little time to prepare. Rapid intensification happens when conditions align: very warm water, little wind shear, and high moisture. With climate change warming oceans, scientists warn these explosive jumps may become more frequent. This is why forecasters urge caution even with smaller storms. A weak tropical storm on Tuesday can be a life-threatening hurricane by Thursday. Fact 3. The biggest myths about hurricanes. Over time, myths about hurricanes spread, and believing them can put lives at risk. Myth 1. Open your windows to equalize pressure. False. Opening windows just invites flying debris inside. Houses collapse from structure failure, not air pressure. Myth 2. Only people on the coast need to worry. Wrong. Inland flooding is a major killer. In 1999, Hurricane Floyd caused deadly floods hundreds of miles from the coast. Myth 3. Lower category storms are safe. Not true. Categories don't measure rainfall or surge. Even Category 1 storms can flood homes and cut power for weeks. Myth 4. You can outrun a hurricane by car. Unlikely. Roads clog, flood, and become impassable. That's why evacuations are ordered early. Dispelling myths is key. In hurricanes, accurate information is as critical as food and water. Fact 2. How to stay safe. Before, during, and after a hurricane. Surviving a hurricane isn't about luck. It's about preparation and smart decisions. Long before the storm arrives, people who live in hurricane-prone areas need to know whether their home is in an evacuation zone and what routes are safest to take if ordered to leave. Preparation also means having essentials ready: food, water, medication, flashlights, and batteries, because storms often cut off supplies for days. When the storm comes, safety means staying inside, away from windows and doors, and resisting the temptation to step out when the eye passes overhead. The calm in the center is only temporary, and the other half of the storm almost always strikes harder because winds reverse direction. After the storm, survival depends on caution. Floodwaters may look harmless, but are often filled with sewage, chemicals, and hidden dangers like live wires. Returning home too early can put you at risk if buildings are unstable or utilities damaged. Recovery takes patience, and listening to local authorities is often the difference between safety and tragedy. Preparedness is not complicated, but it requires respect for the storm. Those who plan ahead, stay calm, and follow guidance have the best chance of making it through with their lives intact. Fact 1. What hurricanes teach us about climate and the future? At number 1, hurricanes teach us about more than weather. They teach us about our changing world. Research shows hurricanes are becoming stronger, wetter, and slower. Warmer oceans fuel them, higher seas amplify storm surge, and shifting climate patterns may make them stall longer over one place, dumping catastrophic rain. That doesn't mean there are more storms overall, but the strongest ones are getting worse. Communities in Florida, the Gulf Coast, and even the Northeast now face greater risks. Hurricanes raise urgent questions. How do we build smarter near the coast? How do we protect vulnerable communities? How do we prepare for storms that don't behave like they did decades ago? In the end, hurricanes remind us of two things. Nature's power will always be greater than ours, and our best defense is preparation, resilience, and respect for the warnings science gives us. And that wraps up our countdown of the top 10 hurricane facts everyone should know. We've seen how hurricanes form, why their categories can be misleading, the lessons from history's deadliest storms, and how climate change is reshaping the risks for the future. The goal isn't to scare you, it's to inform you. Because knowledge, preparation, and respect for nature are what keep us safe. So the next time you see that spiral on a weather map, remember, it's more than just a storm. It's a story of science, history, and survival. If you find this video helpful, kindly like, share, and subscribe to support Top Facts. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.